Hey guys, before we start this episode, I wanted to talk to you about Type 1 Lifting. So Type 1 Lifting is a clothing line that proceeds of the shirts and tanks and everything else goes to the Children's Diabetes Foundation. So this all came about with me and seeing a 5-year-old girl in the emergency department that had new onset of diabetes. So just take a look at the website. It's www.type1lifting.com. So just check it out. If you don't buy anything, that's perfectly fine. I would just like for you just to take a look and just see what we have. So like I said before, www.type1lifting.com. And guys, I hope you enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome to the Type 1 Lifting Podcast. I have a very amazing guest. Her name is Britt Verras, and I've known her for roughly about 2 years, I believe. We met at Showa when we were working together, and she's a nutritionist, and so I kind of wanted to get her side of the nutritional background and figure out, learn a little bit more of how she does her job. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's fantastic. I appreciate it.
So, first question is, how long have you been a diabetic?
I was diagnosed in 95, so that's almost 25 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 25 years.
Wow.
Is that the right math?
I think so.
I think that's right. Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah. So how did you find out when you got diagnosed?
Kind of like the classic little kid diagnosis, losing a lot of weight, really tired, eating everything in sight, peeing all the time. The thirst was out of control, and finally went to the doctor and did a finger stick and got to go home and pack up and then go to the hospital. So I spent, I think, 3 days there, but it's pretty standard, nothing crazy, no DKA, passing out, anything like that. It was just not doing well.
Yeah.
So.
That was the same thing with me when I got diagnosed too. It was like I just lost so much weight, and even my wife, and I got it so late, so I wasn't even expecting it either. So at 34, getting it. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a cousin just get diagnosed, and she's 27. Same thing. It was like she just lost a bunch of weight, and finally went and got checked in on. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So, what was it like for you, growing up as a diabetic, as a young age?
Well, I mean, the early mid-90s treatment was really different. I know insulin pumps existed, but they were not widely accessible. So the approach was you eat this at the same time every single day forever, because you took food in to match your insulin versus how we do it now, which is you take insulin to match your food. So, everything kind of shifted to just be really prescriptive. Nothing changes. If you're starving, too bad, this is what you're eating. If you're super full, too bad, this is what you're eating. So it was really strict. No CGMs, none of that kind of stuff. So my poor mom had to get up a lot and check my blood sugar, and it's just really different.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a pump in 1999 in high school. And it was the most liberating, amazing thing to just eat. It was so cool. So yeah, that was really transformative. But early 90s diabetes care was just kind of like, this is what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No candy, no sweets. Good luck.
Yeah. So with the pump, when you felt really liberated, so did you go ham on junk food for a little while, or did you kind of how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my answer wants to be no, of course not. I just ate, but it was high school, and I just switched from being kind of okay, I eat what I'm supposed to I can eat out of the vending machine. I eat all this fried food. I went a little crazy, but it was high school. I didn't even notice. It was just beep, 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 plug it into the pump,
mm-hmm.
Keep on going.
Yeah, and what were your friends saying, while you're on the pump? Were they oh, can I, push the buttons, or, how does it work?
No, I don't think a lot of people asked. I would just tell them, oh, I have diabetes, this is my pump, and they're like, yeah, nobody cared about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, high schoolers just, they had bigger things to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still on the pen. I don't use the pump or anything like that. So
Yeah.
my wife always wants to stab me like with my insulin. She's like, can I do it this time? Can I do it? And I'm like, no. And if I'm driving and I need to take insulin, I'll have her do it like right in the shoulder or something like that. And like, sometimes she'll get that little sweet spot. You like kind of flinch a little bit. You're like, and she's like, oh, did I get you? And I'm like, yeah, that kind of hurt a little bit. So.
Have you seen the new pens that calculate the active insulin?
No.
It's cool. It's just like a normal pen, except for, and this is one of the benefits of the pumps, is that it'll tell you, like, hey, you don't need this much insulin, you've already got this much, and you're running this low, or whatever. But now the pens will do it. I think it tracks it via an app.
Okay.
But I don't know that.
Interesting.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Because I started my first CGM. It's the Libre. Like I started a second time because the first time I got like really stressed and it was like all over the place, and I'd take insulin, then I'd check 5 minutes later and take more insulin, then bottom out, and it was just I was too stressed out. And then my neighbor who had it, like he's a type 1 diabetic, and
cool.
Yeah, he gave it to me. He's like, here, I got 3 sensors if you want it, and my phone has the app where I can scan it, and and it's been helpful. And so, but there's been a couple times where like it says I'm low, but I check my blood sugar, it's like normal. So, granted it's like a 15-minute delay. So,
do you think you'll try like the Dexcom after, or there's a lot of data?
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is the price of it because with my insurance. So I'm not blowing $700 right off the bat, and especially I need a new car as we speak. So so it's I can't do it. And even like the monthly prices for all the rest of the supplies, I can't do it. So.
Well, and one, we've been doing it without those machines forever.
Yeah.
And two, like it can be kind of like you were talking about with the Libre. It can get to be so much data where you're just like obsessive about it. So I find myself like watching the trend and I'm like, is it going down yet? Is it going down yet? And you just kind of, so it can be, okay, let me take it back. There's some freedom in not having the constant barrage of, but I tend to go low at night. So I like it to manage that part. So yeah. I don't really go low that much unless I take too much insulin when I'm eating. But like usually I typical like 100 to 150 or something like that the whole day. So that's a dream.
I know, but like there's a couple of years I was like really bad, so I was like eating like an a-hole and just like, oh, I'll have all these sweets and stuff like that, I'm fine. And then my A1C went up, and then I'm trying to get it back down. So we all go through that. I think that's normal. Yeah,
it's like diabetes teen years, we all have them.
Yeah, well mine was in my 30s, so
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When the diabetes starts, you got your little honeymoon, and then you have like the teens, and then it's like, oh, okay, I should care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're now a registered dietitian. Is that the proper wording, or your certification?
Yeah. Well, so I'm a registered dietitian, which is it's similar to how doctors go through training. Like we've got to get the education, do a year of residency, pass all our licensing exams, blah, blah, blah. But they recently changed the title that you could be a registered dietitian nutritionist if you needed to be, because people don't understand the difference between the two. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
People are like, what's a dietitian versus nutritionist? I know what nutrition is. So we can tack it on to the end, but anyway, long answer short, yeah, I'm a registered dietitian.
Okay. Well, so what made you get into that field?
Well, nutrition was a career change. I started college, I think like most people start college with no idea of what they want to do, and then I got funneled into a major, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I do now. Mm-hmm. But I really wanted to work with diabetes, and I realized if I didn't have any type of clinical training, it was going to be impossible. So I started out kind of in a career more in like the digital advertising agencies, little bit of writing, that kind of stuff, and then moved into some public health work. And while that was going on is when I started to go back to school for nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just didn't want to spend my life doing a career I didn't love, and being a dietitian gives me the clinical access to work with people with diabetes and then a whole host of other stuff. So
yeah,
it's been phenomenal.
Yeah. So your path was pretty much like you said before, like the years of experience in college, then your residency, and then like anything else like after, or
well, I did traditional undergrad, grad school in public health, and then I went back and did another undergrad, and that was nutrition.
Okay.
So I was a 30-year-old studying with 20-year-olds, which was fun. And then I was a 33-year-old training with 21-year-olds in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But those people are lucky, they figured out what they wanted to do early and just got into it. And
yeah.
More power to them. It's great. But yeah, so that's kind of the progression is you got to do the degree, the training, and then sit for the exams.
Okay. Yeah. So what are the opportunities that you've seen or what you can do with your certification?
Oh my gosh.
Tons
Clinical
of stuff.
dietitian, you work in the hospital, you work for clinics, you work for gyms, you work for community centers, food service, schools, universities, everything. Dietitians are everywhere. They're in human resources. They're at, like I said, the university. I work in the student health clinic at Emory. They're the people that make sure that you're doing okay if you have a stroke and you need tube feeding.
Mm-hmm.
Or, there's a lot of there's food is everywhere, and it's a thing that we all need to be surviving. So if there's anything that touches food or nutrition, we are likely there.
Okay, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
So what are the typical clients that you usually deal with? Like, I know you deal with like the stuff in Emory, but do you deal with any people like outside of like the hospital setting or?
Yeah, I have a private practice where I see clients individually. So most of the people that I see either have weight management that they'd like to do, either gain or loss. And then since I do have type 1 diabetes, that's a niche of mine. Mm-hmm. I work with a lot of people with type 1 because it's tough to find providers with type 1. So I have a few clients with like that, but most of it's traditional weight loss, muscle gain. I get a few endurance athletes trying to improve time, work on energy. And then my other kind of specialty is plant-based vegan nutrition. And so I can help people navigate either transitioning or enhancing vegan vegetarian diets.
Okay, so how is a typical vegetarian diet or vegan diet that you prescribe to your clients? Because I'm kind of like interested in that because I've done like vegetarian for like a little bit, but like for like a year or two, but I've never done like the vegan or anything like that. But I don't know if I can stay away from meat. But I love to learn like the side of like the vegan and vegan side.
Yeah, well, I get it. Meat is delicious. I have only been doing plant-based vegan nutrition maybe for 7 or 8 years now, but it's the same principles for everybody, right? Like, whether you're going to eat meat or not, you still need a protein source. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times if you're transitioning from if you're transitioning from like an omnivore diet to vegetarian vegan, we do a lot of education about, okay, what are those protein sources for you now? But really, across the board, no matter the diet, the biggest issue is people's food quality. It's typically over-processed. We've got a lot of added fat, sugar, salt, and we've got a lot of nutrition that's been taken away. Mm-hmm. And so the biggest learning curve is identifying the unprocessed versions of those foods. So if you're used to grabbing, whole grain bread, which is fine, by the way. Whole grain bread is great. But if we wanted to get to a more whole food version of that, it's like, okay, do you know what the other sources of carbs are that are good carbohydrates? So potatoes, quinoa, fruit, all that stuff. So, it doesn't really matter where you're coming from as long as the food quality is really high nutrition. That's what we're focusing on. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So are you like a big fan of like sweet potatoes for everyone, or then other than like regular potatoes, or like how's that? I know it varies, but
I know. Well, they've got different nutrient profiles, right? Like the color of that sweet sweet potato indicates it's got lots of vitamin A. Otherwise, a potato without it just, is a different nutrient profile. So it doesn't really matter. The thing to keep in mind with potatoes is you got to keep the skin on, because skin is where all the nutrition is, where all the fiber is. Fiber is the queen, king, whatever the top echelon here is. Fiber is the king, queen of nutrients. So if you got lots of natural sources of fiber, it's all good to me, So all potatoes, all good, all the time.
Yeah. So, with your clinic that you have, is it like remote coach? Is it like remote like coaching, or is it like in person, or what do you typically do for your clientele?
Well, before all the coronavirus stuff, I have an office over in Inman Park, and so we'd meet one-on-one, which was great because we could also do body comp, get their muscle mass, their fat, their water, all that good stuff. And then since coronavirus, I started seeing everyone digitally in, I think, February or March, when it got real clear that we should not be seeing people. So my poor office is just sitting empty. So both. But I think, what's been really nice is that I've had a lot of clients who are maybe 45 minutes to an hour outside of the perimeter.
Okay.
And they were like, we wouldn't have thought to reach out to you until now that everything's digital. So I think it'll be something that continues into the future, regardless of what happens. It's really nice.
Yeah. Like a lot of Zoom calls and they're interesting. So I actually, originally when I was doing these podcasts, I tried Skype, like I said before, that I told you on the phone, and it just did not work. And so I think Zoom is like the way to go to like talking to people, because of just the connection issues and all that stuff with Skype.
I know. I was surprised, like Zoom was really ready. They were like waiting back in the sidelines, like ready to go, coach. And then as soon as everything hit the fan, here they came.
Yeah.
There's a conspiracy theory for you. But I thought I was a big fan of Skype before, but I never needed digital connectivity like this. And like FaceTime and Google Duo, the quality is not as good.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah. Well, did you see that Instagram started a new, like, kind of multiple people on one screen deal?
No.
Yeah.
I think Facebook owns Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I saw the Facebook version.
Yeah. They have like now on Instagram, you can connect, I suppose they connect with a whole bunch of people, like me, like you and me, and then like 5 other people or whoever amount, and like you can be on one screen and just like shoot the breeze and talk. So.
On your computer, it has to be mobile.
I think it can be mobile on your phone.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised they put that out there. But that's one avenue you could use.
I know. Well, I like the computer because my hands can be free. So you do a lot of like portion size. I'm like, this is a protein.
Yep.
People might not be able to see that, but I've got like my hand up. The size of a palm is protein. So I need like the hand gestures.
Yeah. Yeah,
laptop's the way to go.
Yeah, I need hand gestures too, because usually when I talk to people, I'm always like just swinging my hands around and stuff.
Right.
So
the phones like that.
Yeah. So when you're starting with a new client, like what is the process? How do you do like what's the process on starting a new client, or if they're like a right fit for you?
Well, if people reach out, we do a lot of kind of deeper intro where it's like, hey, tell me about what your vision is. What are you interested in? What brought you to this moment? Because I think the thing that's really important to consider is why now, right? Maybe you've had this in the back of your mind forever, but what pushed you to reach out right now? Because even thinking about it or starting the conversation with me is the first step towards change. Once you start thinking about it, the wheels are in motion. So to make sure it's a good fit for me, though, I really want to make sure I understand what they're expecting. Some people really want me to tell them exactly what to be eating every hour, every minute of the day. And my approach is more about, I'm going to teach you how to apply this in real time, because I don't think it's reasonable for you to eat the same thing every single day for however long. It's also boring. So I focus more on like education. I do provide meal guidelines, and I will provide recommendations for the day. But I'm not going to tell you, eat half a grapefruit and a yogurt for breakfast. Then you have your shake that's not my style. I'd rather do like real world stuff. So I just want to make sure that people get that.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a difference with my clients, because if they're like, yeah, no, I want to learn, I want to be better, I need to be able to do this, I know that they're serious. If you just want a meal plan, well, you might lose that weight with that meal plan, but when that meal plan is done, you're cycled back because you didn't actually learn anything.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and it's also with those restriction diets too. Like they'll be restriction and they lose a ton of weight, and then they get back on the regular foods they're eating, and they just blow right back up again. You know?
Right. I know. And then they're like super depressed, and yeah, it's like such a bummer. I don't like the weight cycling, and weight cycling can totally mess your metabolism up. And you know, I think what's important to remember is that your metabolism is like this living entity. We've got to be feeding it and nourishing it and nurturing it. And if you're just like, I'm going to plow past that and do what I need to do with restriction and then check it back up, you know, it's not good.
Yeah. And it's also like those people on The Biggest Loser. They lose all that weight on the game show, and then it comes back. They gain the weight back, like 95% of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's I was just reading. You ever heard of intuitive eating?
No, actually, I haven't.
It's interesting. So anyway, I was just reading up on intuitive eating, trying to brush up, and they talk about The Biggest Losers and how the things that they do are so extreme, it can't be repeated. And then also, a lot of times, if you are that heavy, you've got the capacity to gain that weight back much easier than if somebody else, because you've had, like, the fat cells don't disappear, they shrink.
Yeah.
And that's really such a bummer too, because you're setting them up to like celebrate this great loss, and then it's like, all right, see ya. Like their lives only mattered for the show, and that show trips me up.
Yeah. Well, and also there's a money aspect to it too, so they're gonna go gung ho. And if you look at the guys, like at the end of the show, like if you look at their skin, their face, it's like super droopy, and they just don't look good. I mean, they've lost all the weight, but they don't look good whatsoever. So, which is
undernourished.
Yeah, which is sad. So, unreal. But
they're creating their own problems.
Yes, true. So, so I have a quick question with macros. So, like, this is one of the aspects I want to learn. So, how do you deal with like giving somebody a certain set of macros, or like, you know, obviously if like they want to do weight gain or like lose weight, like what kind of macros do you want them to hit, like for per day, or you know, or whenever?
Yeah, well, okay, so macros, to get the macros, and I assume that most people listening probably know what they are, but those are the nutrients that we need in the largest amounts. It's the carbs, proteins, fats, the things that give us water, things that give us energy, and then we also throw water in there as like a side macro, because we need a lot of it. But to figure that stuff out, we get kind of a base range of what are your needs, right? And that's based on your mass. Like, how big are you? What are you doing? What are your goals? And then once I've got an idea of how much energy you're expending, then I can calculate the macros. So the really average macro percentages are 50% from carbs, 20% from protein, 30% from fat. That's like baseline standard. And honestly, if you're doing a high quality diet, those can just kind of be what they need to be. Your body will work it out. But anywho's, so if you've got a goal to gain muscle mass, I know everybody's like, I'll just jack the percentage of protein up and that'll solve everything. Well, one, protein doesn't build muscle mass without the work, right? You can't just eat protein. It's like trying to build a house, but you didn't send any workers. Like, you're giving it all the materials.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
So it's got to be a combo. But then the other part of it, and this is tricky, is that if you don't eat carbohydrate, the protein will be converted into a form of carbohydrate. So your body's like, ooh, you're not giving me this like good, quick energy source, which is what carbs are. I'll just take the protein that you had set aside for muscle and I'll use that to fuel whatever I'm doing. So we've got to eat carbs to spare protein to do all that good repair work. So anyway, you know, there's vegan bodybuilders who do an 80% carb, 10% fat, 10% protein, which is just like mind-boggling to people. But that's a really strong testament to it's less about the percentage and less about the calories and more about the quality.
Quality of food, yeah.
It's always going to be that. And even the carb sources, sweet potatoes, quinoa, rice, whatever, they have protein in them. You know, protein gives structure to things. Carbs have that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not, you know, if you get rid of all the meat products and you're not even eating any strong plant-based sources, even eating a variety of things will start to give you the protein that you need. But there's a whole bunch of debate about, you know, do we need 5%, 10%? That standard 20%? Is 40% better for bodybuilding? I've seen them all work.
Yeah.
All worked.
Yeah.
So it's less about hitting it perfectly and more about the quality and how do you feel. If you feel restricted, once you make a food forbidden, that's all you want,
mm-hmm.
right? So we got to think about how do we work that in, think about the quality. But I don't know. That's, you know, macros are funny. Tweaking them is fun. I do that for a lot of clients because they do want to know what are my goals per day. So if I'm going to break down your macros, I'll try to break it down into something that's a bit easier than hitting grams. I'll try to break it into servings. I'll say, listen, if your protein goal is 80 grams of protein, well, that works out, you know, to 4 to 5 servings. And each serving is about 20 grams. This is what this looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So then we can get away from the numbers and more about getting used to looking at food and knowing, like, this is my clear protein source. It looks about the right size, but I'm not obsessing about it by tracking it to the number.
Yeah.
You can do that, but it doesn't always work for everybody. It depends.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I've tried doing the macros, but it's like so hard. I just focus on the numbers and stuff like that. I'd rather just eat, you know, some good whole foods and just, you know, be healthy. And I don't like, even if I'm going out to like Ted's or like, if anybody doesn't know what Ted's is, it's a restaurant down in Atlanta. But like, or a restaurant. Yeah, it's really good. But like, I don't want to stress over like what's on my plate and like I can't count it or I can't weigh it or whatnot. It's just eat it. So
it takes away the joy of eating.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough to enjoy something if you're like, oh my gosh, how many calories are in this? Like, if the quality's good, there's nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and my other thing is like, make sure. Okay, this is how I tell people to do it. Is it clear that where this food originated from? Like, if you showed it to a great grandparent, would they know that this is food? Or would they have a question about it? And if they have a question, that's a warning flag.
Mm-hmm.
It's been too processed. And the second thing is, are there any veggies? Just eat some veggies. Any veggies, just get them in.
Yeah.
And that's usually enough.
Yeah. What do you think about those green powders with like all the veggies like mixed in the powder? Do you think those are effective at all, or?
Well, I mean, not really. I think it's like a nice placebo effect. So here's why. Like, you know, if I'm going to replace nutrients that I would be getting from food with a powder, let's think about the eating experience. Like, if I'm cooking and enjoying vegetables, one, those vegetables have a lot of intact fiber and water content, and they physically fill me up. So I am physically full, which sends signals to my brain that say, like, hey, things are going really well. This is a good meal.
Mm-hmm.
It's also got really slow digestion because the fiber has to be broken down. And that makes sure that your body has time within the GI tract to absorb the minerals and vitamins out that you need and store them. But if things are powdered and we're just drinking them, because I can't imagine anybody's chewing up powder, but if you're drinking them down, it's going through your GI tract really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not absorbing most of it. You've lost most of the fiber, the intact fiber that's really helpful for GI health and slowing down digestion. And you've also missed out on some of that, like, enjoyment of the meal. I mean, if you wanted to add them to a smoothie because it makes you feel good, fine. And as long as you don't have, like, kidney disease, renal disease, things, and heart disease, things that really impact what vitamins and minerals you need to be mindful of, you know, live your best life. Your body's going to do its best to filter out what you need from that regardless. But the amount that you're going to be absorbing is way less, and you've missed out on an opportunity to be full physically.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I've heard, like, you know, especially from like other podcasts or stuff like that, like, oh, you know, green powder, you know, with, you know, this company selling it, and try it out. So I actually bought this like container of like the greens that had like 23, you know, vegetables in it or something like that. And it tasted like rabbit food, or it was just absolutely disgusting. And I was like, I had to like put in a whole bunch of cinnamon in it just to like actually get the taste a little better. But yeah, I stopped drinking. I just couldn't drink it. It was just so nasty. So I have a lot of people are like promoting this, like the green powders, and say like, you know, you get all your vegetables like in this one serving, you know, and you're good for the rest of the day. And it's like, no, not really. So.
What I mean, think about if you don't have the veggies taking up that stomach space, what else are you filling it with?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, my husband really likes to get the veggie pasta, and he's like, look on the back, it says 3 to 4 servings of veggies on it. And I was like, okay. So he's been trying to get me to let that be the vegetable of pasta night, and it's just like I get it. People want that to be the thing because it's easy. You can eat more pasta or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just isn't the same.
Yeah. So, what is like the craziest diet you've ever heard of?
Oh my gosh. Well, this is not a popular answer, I don't think. Keto is not, okay. Well, I'll try to not stay on my keto soapbox very long. So keto diets are a prescription diet for epilepsy. Pediatric epilepsy. So if you've got out of control pediatric epilepsy, yes, keto diet. There's some applications for like Alzheimer's and stuff, and that's great. Like, let's figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so I've never seen a diet that says bacon and cheeseburgers and like fried eggs are okay and vegetables are not okay, and that be like, I can't believe it's taken off. I just cannot believe it. So yeah, it's funny how like everybody really wanted cheeseburgers and donuts, well, not donuts, but cheeseburgers and high fat stuff to be like the foods they could eat. They made it work. So but other than that, like the crazy super low calorie extended fasting, oh my gosh, there's this story going around right now about this like really ripped dude and how he only eats like once per week. And that, I'm like, first of all, we have not proven that is true.
Yeah.
He might say that, but I think what people forget is that he's probably got like a program to sell or a product to sell or a workout regime, and it's like, y'all, there's some ulterior motives, but that sure caught our like, it's in the headlines, right? It caught our attention.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anything that just like cuts out an entire food group. I mean, like protein, fat, carbs, where you're just like, no, none of that. And it's like, you know, they all have a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Even low,
like,
even like low carb too. It's not the best diet for you, but there's a lot of people that like to do that too.
Oh, especially in the diabetes world, like which is so funny. It's carbs are the easiest fuel source. Like people are happy when they're eating carbs for a reason.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know, vegan bodybuilders who are on 80% carbs, and there's not an ounce of fat on them. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's so contradictory that I think people have a hard time even accepting that can be true.
Yeah.
But yeah, carbs are magic.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of eating carbs like after I work out, because obviously it helps fuel the muscles and gets, your muscles stronger. And there's like even like a little bit before I work out too. So just like eat a little bit of carbs, and then after eat a little bit of carbs, and then like, and a little bit in the morning too for breakfast, because I eat this. For me, like you said, like I eat the same thing every single day almost, and I don't get bored of it except for dinner time. So I eat like breakfast, like snack, and lunch, same thing, because it's easy. I don't have to think about it, whatever. But like dinner time, we'll do like something out of the ordinary, which is fine by me. So, and like it just helps me with my blood sugar. But like I do like to have some carbs and carbs after work, before and after working out. So I think I think it's a great thing to do for me. So
yeah, I mean that's classic bodybuilding exercise 101, right? Like you need energy to do the work, and then when you're done with the work, you have to replenish what you've burned. So I mean that's the exact right way to do it. And I'm similar. Like I eat the same thing, the same breakfast, the same kinds of snacks. Lunch and dinners are they're kind of toss-ups, but I'm a creature of habit too. It's just, it makes it easy.
Yeah.
It is really tough to work with people who want a different thing every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Not for anything other than like, I'm like, you don't want to eat oatmeal every single day? It's delicious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but yeah, I get it. Like people get bored with food, but I'm easy. I'm like you. It's like, well, just eat it. Keep going.
Yeah. It's funny because speaking of oatmeal, there's a certain oatmeal that I make every single day. So it's oatmeal, cinnamon. I put 2 raw eggs in it, and then hear me out. And then I put a scoop of peanut butter in it, and then I put it in the microwave for 2 minutes to cook it, and I eat that. So yeah, I don't eat the raw egg. No, I don't do that. But it's really fulfilling too. Now I'm doing egg whites because I don't want to have like all the cholesterol because my cholesterol is a little up. But
yeah,
I just do like the egg whites, like 2/3 cup of egg whites, and milk, almond, oatmeal, cinnamon, and peanut butter. I'm good to go. So yeah, so that's a good one you should try.
Oatmeal is I don't know that I'll do that. So my cholesterol and triglycerides are very, very high, which is funny because I don't eat any animal products.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying a very specific regimen to get them down. I'm going to get my blood work done in the next couple of months, see if it worked. I fully believe that it's going to work, but oatmeal is a big part of that.
Yeah.
Not the egg part, but the oatmeal will be a really big part of that.
So what's the regimen you're doing?
Okay, so and this is all based on research, not just like me making things up, but lots of soluble fiber. So soluble meaning it gets broken down and absorbed. Soluble fiber is the stuff that cleans out cholesterol, blood sugar, blah, 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 in the blood. So lots of that. Brazil nuts every couple of days, just one, because Brazil nuts are very high in selenium, so you don't want to overdo it on them. So I just have one every couple of days, and then algae oil to get a lot of omega-3s, which have been shown to be helpful for triglycerides. So lots of soluble fiber, lots of veggies, Brazil nuts, and algae oil. Am I doing anything else? Exercise. I don't know. That's it, but that's my regimen.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's interesting. I've never heard of the Brazil nuts or the algae oils. So
it's just a substitute for fish oil.
Okay.
And I'm not anti-fish oil, but if I'm doing vegan plant-based, I want to see if that can be the thing. I'm trying to test it out. But I've basically taken every individualized triglyceride cholesterol study for vegans and just taken all of them, and I'm doing all of it. So we'll see if I can get everything down.
Yeah, I'd love to learn a little bit more of that, later on, if it actually did work for you. So.
Oh, if it works, I'm gonna be so pumped to talk about it, just because, you see these claims, and it's always somebody you don't know. It's an ad. People know me, that I don't make things up. I'm just a science person. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this would be an amazing opportunity to really share how powerful food can be. Nutrition can save your life. Let me show you how. I did it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, I still believe that nutrition saves your life. I just have genes that are really overpowering everything. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I wanted to talk a little bit more diet. So the craziest diet that I've actually heard is called the Red Bull diet. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh no.
This was this was in the early 2000s and or late 90s. So they said that if you ever get hungry, you drink a Red Bull. And with the caffeine, it actually helps you curb your appetite.
Well, caffeine makes you think you've been given an energy source.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. You didn't do it?
No. I see when I was younger, my diet was the seafood diet. I see food and I'll eat it, and then it was still going on even in my like late 20s, 30s, and then like when I became a diabetic, it was like a little more structured, like because my A1C was 11.5 when I first became a diabetic, and I dropped it down in 9 months to 5.8.
That's baller.
Yes, and I would eat pancakes every time I was at the hospital too. So, and it worked. But then like since like after that happened, I was eating like an a-hole and just like eating more desserts and stuff like that, and I wasn't being as strict as, like, not strict, but I wasn't being more cautious than I usually was like when I first started. So I'm kind of working back to that now. So just like just understanding more about diets and like macros, and just seeing what I can benefit from doing it like a certain diet or whatnot.
I mean, if I had to give you some unsolicited advice, it would be
shoot.
Vegetables. Like, get your veggies in. You like your lean protein? Awesome. Try to make sure most things are unprocessed, right? Like, the more whole foods, the better. Mm-hmm. Seriously. If there's, like, even a question of, where did this come from? How was this made? I can't even envision it. Yeah, I mean, we can have that stuff sometimes, right? Like, we got to live our lives. But 10 to 20% of our food can come from these more, like, treat foods. Like, we have pizza night every week at my house. It's no big deal, but if I was having pizza every night like I did in college,
yeah,
it would be a very different story.
Yep.
I didn't eat any vegetables in college. I don't think I knew that vegetables existed until I was like 25.
Yeah, I really don't think I did eat vegetables in college either, so.
No, it's like, how do I have food to like buffer all the beer? That's all I'm worried about. That's college life for me. I don't know.
Yeah. So, with your diet programs, what have you seen with your clients that have been like a huge success for them? Getting better, like or endurance athletes or like anybody like losing weight wise.
Well, those are two kind of different approaches, but always see improvements and progress with better quality. So it's I'm a broken record about that,
yeah.
But I just started working with a guy 2 weeks ago. He has type 1, and he's dropped maybe 8 pounds. I mean, on average, people are going to lose maybe a pound a week. It's been 2 weeks, and really just by asking him to just switch out the processed food for unprocessed for whole foods is not even 100%. He's already seeing amazing progress, which is great. But the other way is more about like, I get a lot of people who've done kind of extreme diets where they're like, I only eat 1,200 calories. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm sorry, you're an endurance runner and you eat 1,200 calories? No wonder you can't perform.
Yeah, that's insane.
Well, we get this, like, I don't know where this 1,200 calorie number, I'm sure it was like a magazine or something. Mm-hmm. But women especially are like 1,200, that's what I do. It's like, girl, you need 2,000 for your training regimen. And so a lot of times if you're an athlete and you're coming in and you're like, I'm tired, I've got low energy, I don't feel good. If your quality's there, and a lot of runners do have good quality, it's usually about, we need to jack it up. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised how much your body can do once you're fueling it. Same thing with like toning, gaining muscle. It's like the house analogy again, like you wanted to gain muscle, but you're under eating. Where are the materials? You're doing the work, but there's no material. Yeah. So, I don't know what, and at a, like a cellular level, your body will break its own muscle down to repair that damaged muscle. Yeah. But now you just got like 2 shoddy muscle repairs done. And it's just kind of like, you're never going to gain.
No.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, long answer short, to summarize, it's like, let me match your energy expenditure. And if you're trying to lose weight, we don't need to do extreme cutting out 1,000 calories. We want to do maybe a nominal 500, maybe 250. But then the other side of that is like, people always tend to jump to like diet foods to do that. Mm-hmm. And those diet foods don't take up any space in your stomach. And so you are starving until you can't take it anymore. And so I really focus on like, let's fill you up so you feel good. But we need to just change the types of foods that you're doing to physically fill you up. So yeah, once we kind of get that going, you're getting your right energy intake, your right calories, and then we just shift some of the quality to be better. It's easy. It's so easy.
Yeah,
almost
very
every
cool.
time.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on creatine or like other supplements to help people out?
I mean, there's some research showing they can improve, performance recovery. I'm more of a whole foods first kind of person.
Yeah.
But if you're training, so like, okay, if you're training to a point, training like bodybuilding, training like athletics, it's not natural. It's awesome. I love it. It's not natural though, right? So when you're kind of doing things outside of like a normal human would be doing, then thinking about like the supplements, adding things to your diet that are more concentrated, the isolates, that kind of stuff is like, yeah, that makes total sense. You're pushing your body way beyond what is a normal kind of healthy existence.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try to fuel it appropriately. I think that stuff is fine, but I think what people need to remember is that the supplement industry is not regulated like we think it is.
No.
So,
Yeah.
Do you really know? I don't,
Yeah, I actually talked about, in one of my podcasts I did like earlier on, I talked about like knowing your supplements. I mean, you got to like, there's a lot of them that have like the blue check mark on them saying they get each batch gets tested, but there's other ones that still do, and they actually have a warning sign in the back saying, hey, we've worked in this, in the California law says there could be lead in the supplement.
Oh, I haven't seen the lead yet.
Yeah, so if you go to there's one called what is it? Dr. Hyde or Mr. Hyde or something like that. It's by ProSups, and like it's in Walmart. So there's your first reason. So, but like if you look in the back and look at the label, on the right hand side of the label it says could have lead in this.
That's not worth it.
No. And then so like if I do a pre-workout, I just want to make sure it has that blue check mark, and just like if I read the label and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's super dangerous.
Hey, as long as reading the label is the first step for most stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just look at it.
Yep.
If you feel fine, or if you feel fine with it, okay. But if you don't understand it and you still feel fine with it, that's where we need to talk. Right?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Supplement world is weird. I don't know that it's going to change either. I feel like it's not it's on no one's radar.
Mm.
Not right now. Anyway.
I'm just thinking like 10 to 20 years down the road, where all these people are taking it, and they're like all of a sudden they're getting like these, changes, or like cancer or whatnot, or something else, and they're gonna realize, oh, these guys have been taking supplements forever, or like heart issues or whatnot.
I don't think they're gonna put it together. Like, I don't think that's going to click for them.
Yeah. I don't know. It might.
Yeah.
It might.
I mean, and a lot of that stuff is real tricky. Like I said, there's a couple of really chronic diseases that you got to be watching your nutrients. Renal disease, any kidney disease is a huge one.
Yeah.
Same thing with heart disease and liver disease. Like, that stuff will sneak up on you. You don't even know you're hurting yourself. But then, you know what the thing is? It's all the marketing that they do.
Oh, yeah.
They make it sound amazing. They put it in a green label for health, quote unquote. Good to go.
Yep. And like and even the Muscle Mags, they have these like huge jack dudes like flexing, and they're like, they probably don't even take the supplement. So.
Right. They're all vegans. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, your Instagram, we're gonna venture off into the social media side, okay? So, your Instagram is eatwellatl.
Eatwell_ATL.
Underscore ATL. I'm sorry. So my apologies. And so, I love your page where you have like different foods that you take pictures of. So what inspired you to do that, and have you gotten any traction through that?
Well, my goal with the Instagram account was to show people that you can eat plant-based, vegan, vegetarian, and eat well when eating out.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's like, I don't know what I would eat. They only have baked potatoes and salads. First of all, those are delicious, but yeah, we have a huge variety of food. So the whole account was just like, look at how amazing I'm eating. And I didn't realize until coronavirus hit, how much I went out, which is way too much. But now I've just shifted it, because we don't go out, I'm cooking a lot more, which is fun. But again, the point is just to show you, told me about tofu when I was 20 years old, I would have laughed in your face. Like, the idea of eating that food was, like, disgusting and insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is like trying to increase awareness, show you how good it can be, how easy it can be, you can still enjoy life. Traction wise, I've gotten a good organic growth from like 200 to maybe 360 now. It's not a big account. Like, I'm not an influencer, but
it's okay.
I try.
Yeah, I mean, your feed. If you guys go on her Instagram page, her feed is like all these vegetarian foods, these bowls, plates, soups, and like anything, and it very, very colorful, very, you know, pleasing to look at. So you just definitely give it a look. So, and so when you're doing those pictures, what are your favorite types of food that you like to eat and post? I know it's like vegan and vegetarian, but like what are your favorite foods out of that like space that you like to post or like to eat every day?
Ooh, I mean, there's like the ugly food that never gets posted that I love, like the oatmeal I eat every day. I eat some ugly salads. But, you know, if something's colorful, especially while I'm cooking it, because when you're cooking, it releases all the color. Or if you like massage kale, cook spinach, it turns bright green. And so when that happens, it's fantastic to start to get those pictures then. But, you know, and I do post some ugly looking food. I just, you know, if it's good, I'll try to share the recipe for the ugly stuff so you don't think I'm insane.
Yeah.
But the best pictures come from Atlanta restaurants, which, by the way, are phenomenal.
Yes. Yes.
Atlanta restaurant scene is baller.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if there's good presentation, that's the best, because you can just kind of step back, take that picture, show people how delicious it looks, and then get into it. But as far as favorite things, you know, any tofu, mushrooms, onions, greens, it doesn't matter. I love it all. I love potatoes.
Yeah.
There's very few vegetables that I don't like now. I taught myself to like mushrooms, and thank goodness, because they are in everything and they're amazing.
Yep. Big fan of mushrooms.
Right?
Yeah. Love them. Love them. I just
It's
can't.
amazing.
I can't do black olives or pickles.
Me neither.
I just can't do it. Pickles are gross, and black olives,
Yeah.
I just can't do it either. I don't know what it is, or any olives. I just can't do it. So
I'm with you. Which is weird. Those foods didn't even register in my mind as things to include. Like, those don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's maybe the acidity, but I like vinegar. So I don't know, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
Those are gross. Those are like sneaky foods, but the rest of the stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, a good potato. Onions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anyway,
Yeah.
it's all magic.
Yeah. So what do you do now for? We're going to talk a little bit about diabetes. So how do you manage your blood sugars now? Do you still have a pump, or what do you use now?
Yeah. I've got Omnipod, which is the pump. It's got no tubing.
Yep.
Which is awesome because I work out a lot and I was just tired of disconnecting. And right now I'm in a research trial for a closed loop system for Omnipod with Dexcom, much like the Tandem pump does, the T-Slim.
Okay.
They sync with Dexcom right now to make decisions for you. And so I'm testing out the Omnipod version of that. So I've got a Dexcom CGM and an Omnipod, and the research study has been paused because of coronavirus, but we're starting it back up in June, hopefully. So, you know, as far as management goes, I trend low and I run very low, so the CGM is the thing that really helps me out the most, because I set it to alert me before the low happens. So, like, I hit 70, that's too low for me. So I'm already treating, and I've never dropped to the 40s, 50s. I've been in the 10s before.
Yeah, me too.
You know, it's like, I just can't, I don't want to get there anymore.
Yeah.
So.
No, I hear you. So, awesome. So, where can people reach out to you, like through social media or any place else? Or if they want to, like, you know, talk to you for any advice or maybe be one of your new clients?
Yeah, I mean, Instagram's fine, you know, or if they wanted to, like, see my website, see what we offer, I have my email on there and a couple of submission forms if you want to say hey. So my website is eatwellatl.com, and that's it. And there's my whole background, contact info. But like I said, Instagram's good too. I'm on all, like, I'm that person that if you text me or message me, I respond right away.
Yeah, yeah, and that's true. That's true. So.
Yeah, so any of those ways are fine by me.
All right, awesome. All right, so the last question is, what would you say to a person that just became a new diabetic?
Oh, well, this just happened to my cousin. What I have said and what I do say, because I am plugged into the community, is like, well, I always say, I'm sorry you're here, but it's a good group and we're going to help you. It's going to be fine. Like, you'll be fine. You're going to mess up. That's the other big thing to remember, is like, you are going to do everything right, and diabetes is going to trump you that day.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is. It doesn't mean anything about you. It just happens. So, you just kind of have to accept that and keep going on. Like, keep going through the motions. I just try to make sure people know. And I think especially if you're younger, when you're diagnosed, there's a lot of grief. Most of the older people I know that have been diagnosed don't have that kind of grief that maybe the teens, like I went through, but just trying to make sure that they know that you're a safe spot if we need to, like, cry it out,
Mm-hmm.
be mad about it, it's all good. Just reminding them life will get back to normal, I guess, is the strongest part.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Well, Brittany, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It truly means a lot that we finally connected again after the first time we met. So, and, learning a little bit about, like, diets and everything. And I really do appreciate it. And I would love to, get you back on about your triglycerides and see if that worked. So I'd love to have you back on. So once again, thank you very much for doing this.
No problem. My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, have a good one.